and I'm live. And StreamYard, for whatever reason, the minute I go live, it's already like there's already a minute and a half on the clock. And I don't know if it has something to do with like if it starts archiving or backing up or putting it into some sort of cache in case we hit record like early. Chris Connolly, first in the live chat. Chris Connolly, followed by Nemo Technic, followed by Spooky, followed by Vanessa Thor, followed by Jet Petty. First on Periscope, always holding it down on Periscope. I perform best on YouTube, probably because I've been there the longest. The second best performer is obviously Periscope. Hello to Jason Albert. I have been on Periscope consistently for since I started on Twitter. So you got silver. We'll get. Oh, did you? But. Oh, girl, you're not even bronze. Sorry. Keep reaching for that rainbow. Vanessa Thor, you get a participation award. Deal with it. There you go. Yada yada yada. So I do Periscope. I used to do Periscope a little bit, but I kind of let it fall off. What I used to do for a while back in the day was I would be streaming on YouTube, with the whole webcam setup, and then I would occasionally set up my phone to stream it simultaneously on Periscope, creating a second stream. Then you have to go through the whole thing, titling it, yada yada, and then whatever, and then but I would only do that occasionally. But I have a presence on Periscope, which is why I think I perform second best there. I'm also on Twitch. My Twitch numbers blow. It's like going back in time. Fascination Street with Jimmy and Mika Pearson. Hey, what's going on? There you go. Long time no see. Long time no seed. Long time no see. Boom. Hope everything's good on your side of the pond. Yada yada sis boom ba. So Twitch, the problem with Twitch is there's a guy called Devin Nash. Oh, let me do this thing. Hold on. Wait, while we're doing this. There's a guy called Devin Nash. He is a Twitch streamer with a very unique show. And he also does clips and I guess, archives his streams also on YouTube, which is where I watch him. Not that you care. And what his whole shtick is, he's all about on YouTube, which is where I watch him. Not that you care. And his whole shtick is It's all about the online marketing. I could do that to you guys. He's all about online marketing. So he's always talking about Twitch analytics, how to get your, Twitch numbers up, how to do this, how to do that. Yada yada. What am I doing here? Oh, I'm sharing this on Twitter. Boom. And his whole thing is that and he'll talk about the inside nitty gritty of what not only what people do right and wrong on these various streaming platforms, but also what the various strengths and weaknesses of the various platforms are, in and of themselves. So he'll talk about whether or not discoverability. So where it's going to go, where it gets particular with what we're talking about today, not what we're talking about today, what we're talking about right now, because it's not the subject for today's video. Not that there is a subject of today's video. There is a subject of today's video, but this isn't it. What about MySpace? I don't even know that if MySpace, first of all, if MySpace has, thank you for the question, Thomas Manette. If MySpace, I don't know that MySpace has a live streaming aspect of it or service, but if it does, then I want to be there and I want to figure out how to add that to the list of things that I'm simulcasting on StreamYard from. Facebook Live is also a thing, but I'm always with Facebook Live, I'm always Facebook, I want to get involved, but whatever. Anyway, let me do this. Hey, Quantum Vortex Energy says watching from Los Alamos National Laboratory, Los Alamos, New Mexico, Office of Scientific Research and Development. Thank you. This must be because I put the word quantum or quantum gravity into the title. I'm going to tell you Los Alamos National Laboratory, unless you're like first of all, like if you're watching for the first time, okay. My titles are often tangentially related to the contents of my streams because it's a bit stream of consciousness, no pun intended. Also, if you're doing valuable work at Los Alamos National Laboratory, you may want to stop watching or listening because I don't want to run the risk of making you stupid. Or maybe here for Lou Reed. Watching for the first time. What made it Quantum Vortex Energy says watching for the first time? Quantum, what made you tune in, if you don't mind me asking? Was it because I put quantum gravity in the title? No pressure. If you respond, you respond. If you don't, you don't. But wow, I'm gonna start like just because like I'll start being like I'll just put random hashtags in my videos from now on, like in the hopes of like getting like the fucking vegan market. Honestly, I'll be like carrots, how to prepare them. You know what I mean? Like, or you know, wow, you know what I mean? Like everything just this side of like Bigfoot sighted, you know, in living room or whatever. We'll see. We're on break. That was it. You break, so that's what happened. Are you serious? I believe this Vanessa Source is Quantum Vortex Energy. Hey, my cousin works there too. Mario, I'm sure you know him. What the fuck? What is up with the net? First of all, like, don't even get me started. Like, there's like, so here's Quantum Vortex Energy. Here's the problem with me. I start my shows going, I've got an idea over here, an idea over here. I don't know if they're going to tie together. I don't even know what we're going to do. I don't know if we're going to have anything to talk about. And within 45 seconds, we have too many things to talk about. We have too many irons of the fire. I have no notes in front of me. I need a roadmap to just, you know, keep track of everything. I need an outline, right? I have no idea what's going on. So I oh God! And here's the thing, right? So quantum vortex energy says yes, Bigfoot and UFOs are real. Some are property we own, and some are off-world devices. Most of what is witnessed is ours. And it's at this point that I start realizing, hey, CW, before you get excited over seeing someone claim to be at Los Alamos National Lab, remember that this is the internet. Spooky, when is the next dumpster fire? It could be right now for all we know. You know what I mean? We know we've got the ability to add people. Captain Austin Zitz, welcome to the live ooh, I like that new I think that's new. I like that Mars Attacks. Not a cult classic, just a good movie. So anyway, where was I? Devin Nash. The problem with Twitch, apparently. Oh my God. So this is like this is kind of interesting. Hold on. So Chris Connolly says, we just mentioned quantum energy vortex, just mentioned Bigfoots and UFOs being real. Oh, we got a wise ass. There you go. God bless you. And we're gonna do this. Quantum vortex energy says at this stage, civilians are too intellectually and technologically feeble to detect and must less comprehend the kind of communication that's occurring amongst more advanced species. Yep. That's what I was trying to warn you about in the beginning of the show. Anyway, Chris Connolly. So we just talked about Bigfoots and UFOs, and Chris Connolly says, hey, can we talk about another crackpot soon by the name of L.A. Marzulli? I have talked about L.A. Marzulli in the past, though I don't know if I've done it on a dedicated show. L.A. Marzulli used to make these like kind of like documentary pieces. Like he would do some shows that were very talky, very him, the microphone and the camera. But he would do also a lot that were like, you know, he was all about the Nephilim and ancient alien theory and how it not so much ancient alien theory, but he was kind of like he was drawing from the same pool of history is not what we know it, and hidden archaeology and forbidden archaeology. He's kind of in the same realm as Michael Cremo, and who you never hear about anymore. And also guys like the late, who's the guy's name? Lloyd Pye. Remember Lloyd Pye with the Star Child skull and Bigfoot is real and all this stuff? And, and a lot of these guys, and this L.A. Marzulli explicitly came from a biblical perspective. He's also like a lot like, some of his material information is a lot like Steve Quayle. The last time that L.A. Marzulli was on my radar was because, did you hear the rumor about, this was like a big thing. Like when I started in 2015, one of the big news items in conspiracy theory, ufology, new age spirituality, we need a name for this space. We do. We need a name. Crazy crackhead in Shitland. Anyway, one of the big things was the Sleeping Giants. Part of the Ruiner blog, who was the first guy that I started talking smack about online, was this aspect of he had incorporated the Sleeping Giants under the ground into his Illuminati whistleblower, Illuminati insider intel. You know how certain people tell the stories about they're recruited for a program, they bring them underground to teach them how to talk to living crystals. Well, there's an allegation that story was kind of stolen. There's a whole bunch of stories that are all stolen from different people. And I also have my notes on Andrew Bashaga that we might have to end up talking about, because I think that we just have to. There's just some of the stuff that's worth talking about. Anyway, I'm getting off the track again. We lost Devin Nash. Okay, hold on. Devin Nash, the whole point of Devin Nash is on Twitch. Apparently, there's a real problem with discoverability. Twitch doesn't have a good system to recommend people to new viewers. Therefore, if you're not also on YouTube and promoting yourself on YouTube or Facebook or Handycam or whatever, promoting yourself other places, trying to get traction on Twitch apparently is like next to impossible. So if people want to see things happen on Twitch and they do have Twitch accounts, they might want to think about watching me there, just to, if it's a small little way to kind of guess help out, though I don't know if it makes a lick of difference. I don't know. It is what it is. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that we kind of buttoned up that little subject before we moved on to blase blah. Anywho, L.A. Marzulli. So there was this big thing about Sleeping Giants. There were actually videos that were kind of the Secure Team 10 type of YouTube channels where they show you the stuff. Like, there's nothing like stupider than the channels that are like, look, an actual alien skull discovered. And it's like a deformed skull. And it's like, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, actual footage of a UFO, anomalous shape in the sky. Whoa, let's put a big circle on it with our computer program. Oh my gosh. Anyway, clickbait title, clickbait screen, thumbnail, etc. Anyway, the Sleeping Giants were a big thing. And like most of this stuff, I think the reason that some of these things get traction is that there's like kind of like magic formulas to the rumors and the myths that get the biggest amount of traction. And I think it has to do with appealing to the widest audience. And I think the Sleeping Giants appeal to a wide possible audience, because you want to get the people that are into just the conspiracy stuff. You want to get the people that are into cryptozoology, but you want to make sure that you maximize your potential reach to Bible thumpers, for want of a better term, biblical, young earth creationists. I think that's like people, they forget, like that's part of the reason the flat earth is so attractive, is because it appealed to people who are just like, everything they tell you is a lie, man. Hip hop. I made a beat on PlayStation 2 Music Maker. Smoke this blunt. Everything they tell you is a lie. Hip hop made this beat on PlayStation 2 on Music Maker. Everything they tell you is a lie. You'll hit this. You gotta get those guys. You gotta get the, I like to question everything. I'm just, don't tell me not to look at it, because then I'm going to tell you that I'm going to have to look at it. You want to get those characters. But part of the reason that Flat Earth, went off is because not only does it appeal to the people who are conspiracy theory minded, it also appeals, and the people that are like, all these people, these doctors, these lawyers, these scientists, they think they're so great and they treat me like I'm a dummy. F them. They're the dummies. What, DNA? What, because they say it's true, I'm supposed to believe it? You know who doesn't believe in DNA? You know who's a DNA skeptic? One of my favorite comedians of all time, Norm Macdonald. He did an interview with Larry King, and he's like, DNA, if I'm lying, I'm effing dying. Thank you to, this must be Carol Utley. Thank you to Carol Utley with your donation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for continued financial support. God bless you. God bless you. It does help. And it really does mean a lot to me that you're consistently there, like, boom. And I really do appreciate and love you for it. And it really does help. And it really helps give me a little bit of peace of mind. So you want rumors and innuendo that definitely appeal to the biblical set, and the flat earth does, because read the Bible. The earth is flat. That's why who'd we talk about was being retweeted by certain people. Who was I forget the guy's name. Crap, I don't know, but whatever. L.A. Marzulli. So one of the rumors, the sleeping giants were supposed to be redheads. Like, that was a big thing. So it was all about, like, they were like the Anunnaki or the Nephilim or something, and they're in the Bible, right, or whatever. So sleeping giants in mounds was a big thing from 2015, if you remember. And around that time, or maybe the next year, a new story popped up on the internet and got a fair bit of traction. It kind of died off, but it got a fair bit of traction for the time. You guys probably heard about it. Top secret intel. We've had reports that American soldiers in Iraq have had to engage in combat, got involved in a shootout or a fight with a redheaded giant in Iraq. Did you hear that? Yeah, that was a thing. And I was like, where did this story come from? Like, I wanted to know. And you know where it came from? It came from L.A. Marzulli. He got an anonymous email telling him the story, and he ran with it. And then people picked up the story and they ran with it. It's without a doubt 100% L.A. Marzulli got a random, no credentials, no background email claiming that American soldiers were involved in a firefight with a redheaded giant in Iraq. He spread it, and he did that. That was the last time I talked about L.A. Marzulli, was in context of that story. But I don't think it was contemporaneous. Like, I don't think I talked about it in 2016. I think it may have come up, like, not that it matters. Like, it may have come up like 2-3 years ago. Why am I getting that? Like, why am I guessing? I have no idea. Vanessa Thor says, we need a Friday dumpster fire Halloween costume masquerade special. We might be able to make that happen. I got to see. Like, I look at my actually, we might be able to work on that. That might actually be possible. I know I've got some Halloween plans, but I don't think the night is spoken for. We got that crazy stuff from Quantum Vortex Energy. Thank you for tuning in. Please, Quantum Vortex Energy, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, later on, because part of the reason I'm starting a little bit early, because I'm trying to get out of here. I'm not trying to turn this into a 3-hour Tuesday night. Working on Bigfoot tech. That's a great idea. We might be able to make that happen. There you go. Was the preacher, yay, demons? What? Oh, yay. I'm watching from Pine Gap. There you go. We're covering all our bases. Now we just need to get our super secret insider from Area 51 to tune into the stream, and then we will be cooking. Him and Steve Quayle had a hilarious feud. Are you serious? That's great. That's great. There was a feud. Someone's got to spill the tea. If there's tea on a Steve Quayle, L.A. Marzulli fallout, I need that. I need that. No offense, I need that in my life. That's Jimmy says I saw his documentary about him going to South America and watching how they incorporated UFOs, etc., on their mainstream media. Yeah, they always talk about like, did you know that, and the biggest show in Mexico is this UFO show? And it's like, no offense, like I don't want to engage in like this is not cultural. It's not supposed to be cultural bigotry because the people of a nation are not in charge of what's on the nation's TV. Having said that, the economics of a given country do affect all aspects of life in that country, included to, but not limited to, the quality of entertainment on their television. You know what I mean? And just across the board. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to think of like good examples, like, you know what I mean? Like, so like with Mexico particularly, or Mexico, Argentina, Guatemala, Colombia, like they shoot their television, like they'll shoot it's not like there's zero production values on their shows, but it's like everything. Like if you see a show from like a foreign country, like if you see a foreign show from Japan, it looks like contemporary. You know what I mean? Generally, if you see a show that was filmed for the BBC, the people are speaking with different accents, and they've got like low quality stuff and high quality stuff, but their high quality stuff looks like our high quality stuff. Their medium quality stuff looks exactly like our medium quality stuff. Germany, France, different language, same HD quality, pretty much the same production values, the same type of quality special effects generally in their movies and their TV, whatever, because those countries economically are a parity with the United States, right? No offense, if you see like the greatest like soap opera from Mexico, like their number one soap opera, I guarantee you it looks exactly like an American soap opera from 15 years ago. So it's like their mainstream, like the mainstream media in Argentina, like in some of these countries, based on the limited amount of funds and resources that the country has as a country. And that's not saying that people with more money are better people. It's just saying like it's speaking to a reality of production values. Like no offense, like oh my god, they incorporate you like and if Argentina or some foreign country in South America incorporates UFOs into their mainstream media, does that mean that UFOs are real? No, it just means that like those guys are currently into UFOs and stuff, and like why wouldn't they be? First of all, it's like also the level of sophistication, education of the general populace influences the things that people are willing to believe in. So it's like it makes perfect sense to me that in like what is essentially backwaters of the world, not that the people are morally or ethically inferior, not that they're intellectually inferior, but just like education and sophistication wise, if the place where a person grows up doesn't have a library, right? If the level of education that's provided is at a certain level, like you could imagine like superstitions and stuff last night, like like we said, like it's 10 or 15 years in production values. What was 10 or 15 years ago for us culturally? Go back 25, 20 years, you're in the X-Files town. No wonder. I'm in a dangerous area. I gotta get out of here. I'm worried about sounding bigoted. Keith Raniere got 120 years. Keith Raniere from the X-Files. No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make a joke. Nexium. Holy shit. That seems kind of light, actually, to be completely fucking honest with what went down there. Jonathan Fries speaking about Quail and Marzulli says they get along, yeah, but I'm pretty sure they had a small file out still civil, but hell, I could be wrong. What do you gotta be careful, man. You get me excited. And I don't want to know. Aritz Zero says quantum gravity is a misconception, the force of levitation or magnetic attraction due to quantum pinching fields of magnetic superconductors. Yeah, I know very little. So here's what I've been doing. Okay. So for people that know me and my channel, they know that I've been immersed in some of the dumbest BS that's available on YouTube, right? um, Nonsensical, unsophisticated, intellectually challenged a-holes making up stories that don't even have good narrative content. I watch material on YouTube, or had been in the habit for this channel of watching material on YouTube that could best be described as D minus material, right? Real shit bombs of non information. So part of what I've been doing is, trying to branch out and trying to, go into different areas and just try and see if I can improve what I'm looking at, if that'll improve me as a person. So I've gone out of my way to subscribe to and watch, clips and videos of people trying to explain things like quantum gravity and how it could be linked to consciousness, or sophisticated new evaluations of the work of Einstein as it relates to the space-time continuum. You get the picture. You get the picture. Artificial intelligence, GPT-3, self-driving cars, people who know how to code, trying to listen to smarter people. So quantum gravity just kind of snuck in to today's title because I wanted to point to, and we're going to be talking eventually when we get to the top, to the subject of Lou Reed's death, and the fact that I believe that we're all blessed by Jaja. No, well, I do believe that we're all blessed by Jaja, but beyond that, I believe that it's fair to say that smarter people than me have successfully argued and proven that, to simplify things, Lou Reed died October 27th, 2013, 7 years ago. As we speak here now, October 27th, 2020, due to things like, what is it, like no information loss in the universe, it is a fact that Lou Reed is dead. I'm not trying to start a conspiracy, but it's also true that Lou Reed is alive. And we're going to get in there, and we're going to talk about, I was going to talk about, his 1992 album Magic and Loss that occurred approximately 20 years before his death. Well, sorry. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just trying to take care of some stuff. Okay, that should be done. Where was I? Eventually, we'll get to Lou Reed's death. Lou Reed still being alive. Lou Reed's album touching and speaking about death from 1992, known as Magic and Loss, touching upon perchance his collaboration with Metallica, which was technically the last record he ever made, called Lulu, that came out 2 years before his death in 2011. Perchance. And then also, yeah, so where was I? L.A. Marzulli, or had we ended that? Jim Petty says, I'm looking for alternative platforms since YouTube is yanking tons of channels. You can look for all the alternative platforms you want, but remember, I think what the reality is this, is that, it's like the record industry. The major record labels stopped producing CDs as a physical media, to say nothing of cassettes, and I think they still make records occasionally as kind of collector's items. Like over a decade ago, almost, I believe. I may have my years a little bit wrong. So, things exist and then things, fall out of existence. It's like Newtonian physics. An object will exist in space with the forces of the universe beating against it until the forces of the universe succeed and the thing dissipates into the ether and ceases to be, ceases to hold its form. So it's like you can go to an alternative platform, but we've talked about this before. I don't know, just because people have a desire for an alternative platform, or just because an alternative platform is almost destined to come into existence at some point in the future, doesn't necessarily mean that an alternative platform for YouTube or an alternative to YouTube currently exists. Right, because generally what defines YouTube as YouTube is a whole bunch of things. It's the number of channels, it's the amount of content that you could see, that you could live on YouTube and use it like a cable channel, right? Use it as like a cable, not a cable channel. You'd use it as the cable system, as the box, and just the length and just also the amount of material that's available here, just the archive. I mean, remember, there's videos on YouTube that date back to the inception of YouTube in 2005. That's 15 years of content. So, and a lot of these places, like, if we talk about like things like Twitch and Periscope, a lot of these paradigms, they're not geared so much as to, archiving, like being a place where you're going to go and watch, stuff from the past, or, specific, clips. Because they're really geared towards live streaming. They're really geared towards the notion of, turn on Twitch and see what's going on now on Twitch, right? And so, yeah, you know what I mean? It's interesting. And the other, also you have to think about, YouTube is attached to Google. It's attached to the resources of Google and all that stuff. So there's a reason why it's able to provide levels of service as far as archiving, or the amount of data they're able to hold on to, that I just don't think that it's realistic to think that BitChute or DLive, is going to compete with it anytime soon. Could it compete with it? Like probably the biggest contender to eventually compete with YouTube would probably be Twitch, because Twitch is owned by Amazon, so it can scale up, and and it obviously has a lot of resources at its disposal too. But we'll see over time. My attitude about it is I just don't know. You know what I mean? And you also have to look at, why certain channels are getting yanked. And it's like, do you really want to go to the place that allows all these channels to exist? But I don't know, that gets into the weeds, but I hear what you're saying. Hello to Synthetic Rebellion. Long time no see. Welcome to the live stream. Six Design says Secure Team 10 still has 2.5 million subscribers, hoping and praying that drunk fraud comes back. Well, I think at this point, right, don't they have to wait for him to be released from prison? I forget what's going on. Circle UFO is a good computer program. The best. I swear by it. Prometheus, Sleeping Giants. Well, look, there's okay. Vanessa Thor, Ridley Scott made Sleeping Giants big again. I don't think that he did. I'm going to. I don't want to. I'm not trying to fight with you, but what I think is, so here's where we get to, and here's where it gets. It's kind of almost like what the kids call meta. So you have the ancient alien hypothesis put forward in Eric Van Dyken's Chariots of the Gods, right? And that made a huge impact in the 70s. And documentary, pseudo documentary films made, whatever. So then you have Zecharia Sitchin and this stuff, and these ancient alien theories permeate. You have ancient aliens, et cetera, and then like 25 30 years after Aliens, the various sequels develop over time, and Ridley Scott comes out with. I get sometimes the later the post 2010 alien movies sometimes run into each other, because there was Prometheus, and then there was Aliens Covenant that kind of touched on the same thing with the engineers. But when you get to Ridley Scott bringing the engineers in, and especially the beginning of Prometheus, essentially having a retelling of that ancient alien theory, and it's explicit. They find the hieroglyphics. It's them telling us that they exist and to go find them. They have the map of the stars, just like people used to talk about the planets, the roadmap of the seven sister planets, telling the seven sisters, planets telling us to go to the Palladians to find the Anunnaki, whatever the case may be. When you have Ridley Scott bringing it back, when you have that appearing in Prometheus, you have to ask yourself the question. So there are people that are going to look at it and they're going to say, you see, it's predictive programming. They're telling us a little bit of the truth. And it's like, no, you have to know at this point that these writers like Ridley Scott and like his writing team have been permeated in the culture of science fiction. So they know, and they've heard about, and they might be interested in these various theories. So what you get into is like, what came first, the chicken or an egg, right? Chicken or the egg? When we pose that question, or we reflect upon that question, it's because the chicken and the egg exist, either one of them, whichever one existed first, existed prior to humanity's comprehension of formulating the question and pondering what came first, the chicken or the egg. When it comes to Ridley Scott putting the ancient alien theory explicitly into Prometheus, what came first, Prometheus or the ancient alien theory? There's no question. We know what came first. The ancient alien theory, the work of Zecharia Sitchin, and the work of Eric Van Dyken came first. When I speak to people that are, and I speak to sci-fi heads all the time. I've got friends that are into science fiction and all this stuff. When people that are just into the Alien franchise, they're into the Alien franchise. They're interested in aliens, but they're not obsessed with aliens. They generally, their interaction with the alien phenomena is generally restricted to aliens as being one of the cast of characters that may appear in their favorite types of movies, whether it be sci-fi or horror or the weird space in between. An android, a Frankenstein's monster, a golem, a werewolf, a vampire, an alien. When most people who are not into aliens, man, look at a movie like Prometheus, they don't think about sleeping giants, man, and what if they really exist? They think about those engineers in the context of the Alien franchise, and does it make sense, and does it work, and is it a retcon? Are they introducing things into Prometheus that are contradictory to things that have been established in the lore of aliens and really the meta world of aliens versus predators, Remember, by the time, it's like aliens versus predators versus everybody. I mean, anyway, that's just my. I don't think that Prometheus made Sleeping Giants big. In fact, going to when we were talking about the Sleeping Giants coming forth in the Ruiner blog and all that stuff, that predated Prometheus, to the best of my knowledge. But we can look it up. We can check the dates. Let me see something. Let me go back. This is oh my god. But I'm really not trying to fight. I'm really not trying to fight. Oh my god. No, seriously, here we go. Oh my god, how the fuck? Okay, Ridley Scott makes some the Big Bang. So no, hold on, watch this. Watch this. We can do this. Oh well, no, look, Prometheus is 2012. So that was like 3 years. You know what? Hey, but they weren't sleeping in the earth in mounds in the earth. That was like the big thing. They actually had video of the sleeping giants in the earth. Hold on, let me see if I can do this for you. So I'll bite my tongue, you know what I mean? And meanwhile, the live chat is up here and the live chat is down there. It's gonna take me like 15 hours to get you guys. Alfie Solomons writes, this will obviously be worthwhile and not a joke. If the giants build all the megalithic stone sites, why are there no sites found where the giants lived? No ruins of oversized dwellings. Well, you're going to run into people that are going to tell you that you're an asshole for suggesting that there's no oversized dwellings, because this goes into the mythology of Tartaria, the notion that our history is wrong, and that there was a thing called a mud flood that wiped out evidence of a pre-existing modern society that had electricity and all this stuff that existed just decades before what we think of as modern recorded history. I mean, Tartaria is just like, I mean, it's the flat Earth. I mean, it's essentially a skip and a jump from the flat Earth, and it shows that Max Egan is not, I mean, can't tell fact from fiction and a lot of other things. Um, but they claim that there are oversized buildings. That if you look at things like the Trump, it was the Trump La Triumph or whatever, or Brandenburg's Gate, like all these different things, that these are actually these weren't just built for over imposing scale, but they were built because there were actual giants that would need to come in and out of these buildings, or the building that was attached to these things. So, but then again, these are people that believed, like those, like there are people that fall for the photoshops of giants, right? There's a famous story. There was an online Photoshop contest to produce, basically a crypto. There was a contest to produce pseudo cryptozoological or pseudo mythological evidence of mythological creatures, and one of the winner was this giant skeleton that appears to be being excavated, in the Middle East desert. There's still people to this day that find that image and think that that's proof of giants. And then you show them, the links to the actual contest, and they go, no, 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 that's a cover up. So what are you going to do? Remember, and we're contemplating these things and these questions in the days and age of Photoshop, right? Where are we going to be when the virtual reality technology progresses? Remember, the technology starts off expensive and hard to use, and therefore is limited to the fingertips and the hands and the craftsmanship of the experts. As time progresses, this is why there's like there are Instagram balloon heads who can make better videos than I do, right? Because in a thong and a bikini top, they can figure out how to work a program that will essentially say, take this thing here, use this script for your intro, type out your name, and we'll put it in the center. Here's the wipe, and here's the lightning bolt, and here's the free music from Incomptech or whatever, right? That you can post on this, and this is this, and this, and then rinse and repeat. And they figure this shit out. And it's like part of the problem with the internet in general. Right back in the day, to get onto a BBS, to exchange information instantaneously, to create a website, required a certain level of sophistication. Therefore, generally, were there crackpot websites? Look, there's crackpots that are intelligent. It happens. But for the most part, it's when the technology breaks down to the level of falling into the average moron, where anyone essentially, look, what is a Facebook account but a web page? What is a YouTube channel but a web page? What is a WordPress blog but a web page? But it's that easy to manipulate and easy to use. And all of a sudden, everyone is able to spread information. The problem is when everyone is able to spread information, the sophistication of the information generally starts to become and look more and more like the general populace of planet Earth. And here's what I'll tell you about the 7 billion people that live on approximately live on planet Earth. The vast majority of them have nothing of value to say. Not that they don't have value as people, not that they don't deserve compassion or a hug or they're beautiful in their own way. Everything is beautiful in its own way. But to think that there's 7 billion opinions that are worth hearing, I don't believe that. I'm selective in the people that I listen to, generally. How did we get here? Why is there an Alfie Solomon's quote on the screen? Ay. Hello to Mario Heat. Welcome to the Shindigs. Chris Connolly says, I'm currently reading The Shaver Mysteries. Fun read, but such made-up fantasy. And remember, a certain individual who thought it was in everybody's best interest to sue me had actually put The Shaver Mysteries, a link to The Shaver Mysteries, on his proprietary website as evidentiary support for the stories that he was telling about his adventures in the honeycomb earth. Here's the problem with him and the Shaver Mysteries. The Shaver Mysteries have been debunked. Look, we can go. This is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Understand this: that the individual who thought that his information was so valuable, he needed to share it with the world, put a link to the Shaver Mysteries, on his website. But if you look up the Wikipedia article, this thing was printed in Amazing Stories. This is easy. I'm going to thank the community at Wikipedia for creating such a great resource. Yeah, we are looking at the Wikipedia entry. Fair use. I'll just look over it. Richard Sharp Shaver, October 8th, 1907 to November 5th, 1975. So just, wow. Was an American writer and artist. He achieved notoriety in the years following World War II as the author of controversial stories that were printed in science fiction magazines, primarily Amazing Stories, in which he claimed that he had personal experience of a sinister ancient civilization that harbored fantastic technology in caverns under the earth. Remember what David Wilcock said about the inner earth on his most recent broadcasts. The controversy stemmed from the claim by Shaver and his editor and publisher, Ray Palmer, very famous guy, that Shaver's writings, while presented in the guise of fiction, were fundamentally true. Shaver's stories were promoted by Ray Palmer as the Shaver Mystery. During the last decades of his life, Shaver devoted himself to rock books, stories that he believed had been created by the advanced ancient races and embedded with legible pictures and texts. He produced paintings based on the rock images and photographed the rock books extensively, as well as writing about them. Posthumously, Jesus Christ, I look like a dummy. Shaver had gained a reputation as an artist, and his paintings and photos have been exhibited in Los Angeles, New York, and elsewhere. Great, fantastic. The Shaver Mystery. During 1943, Shaver wrote a letter to an Amazing Stories magazine. He claimed to have discovered an ancient language he called Mantong, a sort of proto-human language that was the source of all earthly languages. In Mantong, each sound had a hidden meaning, and by applying this formula to any word in any language, one could decode a secret meaning to any word, name, or phrase. Editor Ray Palmer applied the Mantong formula to several words and said he realized Shaver was onto something. According to Palmer in his autobiography, The Secret World, Palmer wrote back to Shaver asking how he had learned Mantong. Then he told him the story. Approximately 10,000 word document entitled A Warning to Future Man. The Derus were just short for detrimental robots. Shaver's robots were not mechanical constructs, but were robot-like due to their savage behavior. Look at these. Look at this. Let's just look. Palmer claimed that Amazing Stories magazine had a great increase in circulation because of the Shaver Mystery, and the magazine emphasized the Shaver Mystery for several years. Do you see a pattern? Do you see a pattern? A person comes out with a fantastical story. A group of individuals who have a publishing house, TV channel, glom onto it and promote it, radio show, promote it, and everybody's getting paid. But that doesn't make it true. From 1945 to 1948, Barkin notes that about 75% of the issues of Amazing Stories featured Shaver mystery content, right? The first issue featured a story, The Fall of Lemuria. This was from Other Worlds magazine. Many science fiction fans felt compelled to condemn the Shaver mystery as the Shaver hoax. These fans, already distressed by Palmer's shift away from the literary or hard science fiction of early years, too often slapdash space opera, organized letter writing campaigns to try to persuade the publishers of Amazing Stories to cease all Shaver mystery articles. You see a pattern? Oh my God. The young Harlan Ellison, later a famously abrasive writer, allegedly badgered Palmer into admitting that the Shaver mystery was a publicity grabber. When the story came out, Palmer angrily responded that this was hardly the same thing as calling it a hoax. Dash writes that the critics of the Shaver mystery were quick to point out that its author was suffering from several of the classic symptoms of paranoid schizophrenia, and that many of the letters pouring into Amazing recounting personal experiences that backed up the author's stories patently came from the sorts of people who would otherwise spend their time claiming they were being persecuted by invisible voices or their neighbor's dog. During 1948, Amazing Stories ceased all publication of Shaver's stories. Palmer would later claim the magazine was pressured by sinister outside forces to make the change. Science fiction fans would credit their boycott and letter writing campaigns for the change. Oh my God. Just a little bit of history repeating. Oh my God. The magazine owner said later that the Shaver mystery had simply run its course and sales were decreasing. The Shaver Mystery Clubs had surprising longevity. Representatives of the club discussed the Shaver Mystery on John Nebel's popular radio show several times throughout the late 1950s. See, some people won't let it go, and it'll become part of the history. Even after the pulp magazines lost popularity, Palmer continued promoting the Shaver Mystery to a diminishing audience via the periodical The Hidden World. Lanier describes the magazine as Shaver in the Raw, with little of Palmer's editing. Shaver and his wife producing the Shaver Mystery magazine irregularly for some years. Rock books. Influence and references to the Shaver Mysteries. This is classic. After an initial effect on the Amazing Stories readership, the Shaver Mystery continued to influence science fiction and other general literature. Many modern books, movies, and games make references to Darrow's and other aspects of Shaver's story. The Shaver Mystery has also influenced believers in paranormal phenomena. This has taken various forms, from suspected connections between the Darrows and UFOs to appearances of the Darrows of the mythology of the Church of the Subgenius. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Yeah. Now look at these things. In the summer of Shaver and the UFOs in the summer of 1947, Kenneth Arnold claimed to have seen some unusual flying objects near Mount Rainier. His report caused widespread interest in unidentified flying objects. Where were they before that? If the ancient aliens were here, why did the UFO phenomena have a trajectory and a start date of 1947 with the sighting at Mount Rainier? It's a question. I think it's a question worth pausing. And Palmer was quick to argue that the flying saucers were validation of the Shaver mystery. For several years, he noted Shaver had mentioned the Darrow's supposed spaceships. The idea that Shaver and Palmer had somehow predicted or presaged the flying saucer craze was later championed by writer John Keel. His 1983 article, The Man Who Invented Flying Saucers, first published in 14 Times. This was a great magazine. Declared that Palmer assigned artists to make sketches of objects described by readers, and disc-shaped flying machines appeared on the covers of his magazine long before June 1947. Does that make it real or does that make it kooky? So we can note that a considerable number of people, millions, were exposed to the flying saucer concept before the national news media was even aware of it. Very interesting. Here are the list of the short stories from 1945. Let's just go through the titles. I Remember Lemuria, Thought Records of Lemuria, Cave City of Hell, Quest of Braille, Invasion of the Micro-Men, The Masked World, Cult of the Witch Queen, The Sea People, Earth Slaves to Space, Earth Slaves to Space, The Return of the Sathanas, The Land of Ku, Joe Dannon, Pioneer, Loot of Babylon. That was me trying to do like a dub horn. Not the dub horn, but like the, like Israelites, whatever. The Tale of the Red Dwarf Who Writes with His Tail. Oh, Formula from the Underworld. Zigor Mephisto's collection of Mentalia, Witch's Daughter, The Red Legion, Mare Witch of Ether 18, Mare Witch of Ether 18, I've seen too much. Megadeth, all right, get the reference. When the moon bounced, they got the fuck out of there. Moon was like, I'm out. Deuces. He dabbed on his way out the lunar eclipse. The Fall of Lemuria. We dance for the... Oh my God. I swear to Jesus. We dance for the Dom. Exclamation point. Hell yeah. Oh, look at the thing. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. If you know what's good for you. The Sunsmiths. Beyond the Barrier. The Dream Makers. Nonfiction, The Secret World with Ray Palmer in 1975. A great year for crazy. On the Origin of the Influencing Machine and Schizophrenia. Agartha. Oh my God, The Mound by H.P. Lovecraft, from a short description by Zelia Bishop. Underground civilization fiction set in the southwestern U.S., part of the Cthulhu mythos. Uh-huh. Stanislav Zuklowski developed strange theories about the Earth being ruled by a race called the Sons of Yeti. Ooh, U.S. 2019 film directed by Jordan Peele depicts a race of subterranean machine-like humans designed to copy their counterparts on the surface. Oh my God. Wait, I feel like there was like something that I may have missed that was like, yeah, what are you doing? No, don't do that. The Shaver Mystery. Oh my God, this is look at this. According to Palmer in his autobiography, The Secret World, okay, whatever, Shaver wrote of an extremely advanced prehistoric races who had built cavern cities inside the Earth before abandoning Earth for another planet due to damaging radiation from the sun. Those ancients also abandoned some of their cities some of their own offspring here, a minority of whom remain noble and human Teros, while most degenerated over time into a population of mentally impaired sadists known as Deros. These Deros still lived in the cave cities, according to Shaver. Kidnapping. So this is the time machine with the sophisticated ray machinery that the great ancient races had left behind. They spied on people and projected tormenting thoughts and voices into our minds. Wow. Deros could be blamed for nearly all misfortunes, from minor accidental injuries or illnesses to airplane crashes and catastrophic natural disasters. Ay, ay, ay. Mike Dash notes that sadomasochism was one of the prominent themes of Shaver's writings. Though generally confined to their caves, Shaver claimed that the Deros sometimes traveled with spaceships or rockets and had dealings with equally evil extraterrestrial beings. Shaver claimed to possess first-hand knowledge of the Deros in their caves, insisting he had been their prisoner for several years. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so there you go. And there's more. You know what I mean? And it's endless. Apologize while I go through Norm Macdonald and dirty work. Oh my God. Are you sick and tired of doing your dirty work? Well, let us do it for you. Dirty work. I like the actors involved, but dirty work didn't really pop. I believe it's the last on film appearance by Chris Farley, right? And they certainly didn't get that makeup correct. The whole premise of Chris Farley's character was that he was all banged up and an alcoholic because a Thai hooker had bitten his nose off. And the only way that they really achieved it was kind of giving this kind of like snow cap effect to the tip of his nose, as if part of his nose had been bitten off, but you certainly didn't get the impression that his nose had been bitten off. It was a terrible makeup job, but I don't think that was really the point. Oh my God, look, oh, there's all these dead hookers in these trunks. Oh my God, it's another dead hooker. Yeah, Norm Macdonald was skeptical about DNA as of like 7 years ago. Here we go. Jonathan Freeze says, I'm on that source audio spectrum, and Nemesis would love to get the Ventress, but I had just got an Ocean's 12 pedal obsession, and gear addiction is real, makes life hard having too many instruments. Yeah, in another context, I know exactly where you're coming from, Jonathan Freeze. In another context, that sounds like it came right out of the Shaver Mysteries. Vanessa Thor says, how does anyone not believe in DNA? What the fuck? I think his reasoning is this. It was an interview with him and Larry King. Let me see if I can find it. I don't want to get like banged by a Larry King interview, but so they're talking, and Larry King is asking Norm Macdonald about his Christianity. Now, Norm Macdonald, you have to understand that I think Norm Macdonald is my favorite living comic. So let's just get that out of the way. I think he's brilliant, but that doesn't mean that I have to agree with all of his philosophy, and I certainly don't. He's a born-again Christian. That notwithstanding, he's definitely made some political points that have gotten into some hot water. I think at one point recently, he got permanently banned from Jimmy Fallon because he had said some things regarding not liking the treatment that his friends Roseanne Barr and Louis C.K. had gotten over the whole hashtag Me Too or all these related controversies or cultural issues. But so Larry King is interviewing him, and this goes back to like it's got to be back to 2013. Larry King is interviewing him, and he says to him, you're a born again Christian. Norm Macdonald affirms this. And, Larry King starts probing on that point and basically gets to the point of, well, what about, science? They start talking about science. And Norm Macdonald literally comes out with this happens all the time. This is what would happen to me all the time. I talk to people and I don't mind talking to people. So when I was in my heavy metal Satan phase, I used to have hour-long conversations with the Christians in my high school. We would love to debate religion and faith and atheism. We did it drunk, we did it sober, and you could tell this was like a common thing that would happen. I did it throughout college. People would say, "Hey man, we're don't know if you're interested, but we're actually having like I'm having a Bible study in my room. Would you like to come?" Yes. Yes. This is for you. Where now? Okay, let's do. Is it cool? Because I'll get the spray. So it smells like a bathroom's coming that's just been deodorized. It's coming to your Bible study, and we go there, and all the time it was the same thing. You could tell like that they had gone to Bible camp or they had gone and spoken to their youth pastor or whatever, and the youth pastor had this like great new like way to explain it, great new teaching, or like this will really blow your mind. Or they got it from there, or they got it from like Ray Comfort and fucking the guy from not I want to say the guy from Saved by the Bell, but that's not it. The guy from Kirk Cameron, right? Or something like, and they'd be like, okay, imagine this. Imagine if I have all the parts of a watch, but they're not connected, they're all disassembled, and you put the pieces of the watch into a bag and you shake it, you'll get all these different patterns. Sometimes one or two of the pieces will fall together, but you'll never get the whole thing to go together. So it doesn't mean that there's God. Yeah. And I'd be like, no, because like a watch is a watch and like the earth is the earth. It's like a man-made thing versus a thing that's not made. Look at skyscrapers, right? You look at skyscrapers, then you look at the mountains, you say, how could something so big be put there by nothing? Of course, it was put there by something. It was designed. You can climb a mountain the same way you can climb to the top of a building. Yeah, like, so there's an argument. The DNA, what's more complicated? A building or DNA? DNA is infinitely more complicated than a building. So does that mean? No, it doesn't mean, because one is... like, you'd encounter this. So you'd encounter these things that would obviously blow their minds, the born again Christians' minds, about we got it. Boom. Pieces of a watch in a bag won't turn into a watch. Boom. God. Right? And it would blow their minds. But so they start asking him about science, and Norm Macdonald lays out the following philosophy. He goes, aren't scientists aren't they famous for always being wrong? And Larry King goes, what do you mean? And Norm goes, they're always like saying like science says this, and then they come back and they say it's different, it's changing. And then Larry King, who's like a fairly intelligent person, is going, yeah, because they repeat the experiments, and when they get new information, they update their paradigms. He goes, so they're always wrong, right? So they're constantly changing, like as if science always changing and reevaluating things and changing its protocol means that it's inferior to a school of thought or theology that says it was written 2,000 years ago. Boom. Never changed. Better. Consistently over time. It's a great white shark compared to what? Your human being? Great white shark is changed, essentially stayed the same since prehistoric times. Yeah, and they're sharks. Like, no offense, they can kill you in the water. That's great. But I look around me and I say, we're kind of better than sharks. Call me crazy. And we've done some changing over the last, millennia. Whatever. So then it comes specifically to DNA. And Norm Macdonald literally says the following. He goes, if I was on a jury and they were talking about a murder, and the scientists were to come in and say, we know that this person had the murder victim's DNA on them. Norm Macdonald says, I would go, DNA. What's DNA? I don't know what DNA is. And therefore that he would act like that they didn't prove anything because he doesn't personally, like, I guess he hasn't seen DNA. I guess the theory is that scientists could all be making it up. He's a fucking asshole. He's a funny guy. You know what I mean? Let's face it. He can do an amazing Burt Reynolds impersonation. He does a fairly good Rod Serling. He makes me laugh 9 times out of 10. But when it comes to, like, it goes to show you that you could be like one of the greatest living comedians of all time and still be like absolutely probably like a functional moron. Also, another explanation is that he's Canadian. No offense, they're different. They're like, Canadians are different people. I'm not saying that they're worthless. I'm not saying they don't have human rights, but I'm saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, Rush are awesome. They make amazing music, beautiful, artistic, smart, intelligent. Doesn't it make total sense that Rush came from Canada? You know what I mean? Like, Bryan Adams came from Canada. You know what I mean? Like, no offense, like, Canada. Like, come on. Dana Carvey came from Canada. So did Mike Myers. So did Jim Carrey. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm going to get in trouble with Canada. Who cares? What they going to do? Hold a grudge? Canada. You know what I mean? No offense. Have fun with the snow. Your awesome music and your fucking... The Kids in the Hall are from Canada. They got that. But then again, it's just like... Ooh, Six Designs pointing out you can follow me on Twitter. God, Jonathan Fries, I assume that we're still talking about L.A. Marzulli. Says he has performed many exorcisms, but I'm like 99% sure he has his own church. That is a crazy church. I guarantee you there's no social distancing at L.A. Marzulli's church. I'm making an assumption, but I'm going to go ahead and go with it. Chris Connolly, Afghanistan. Are we sure? I'm pretty sure it was Iraq. And we're on. This is how far back in the live chat I am that we're still talking about L.A. Marzulli. Vanessa Thor says, Isaiah. Remember losing Isaiah? Isaiah says the earth is a circle, not flat, but flat earth has jumped on that. There you go. Well, a circle is not a sphere. And if the Bible was written by God or God's people, you'd figure that they would know the difference, but it's nitpicking. Carol Lely, Steve Quayle. It came from Quails. But I think that people are telling me that I've got the authentication on who talked about this, the Giants fighting in Iraq. Wrong. Alfie Solomons is a redheaded giant, like a redheaded stepchild, basically. Alfie Solomon says, I keep saying he should do live streams by candlelight to emphasize why he needs help keeping the lights on. I should do live streams by candlelight just because it's Halloween. Carol Ellie, he believes in giants and Nephilim. There you go. Oh shit, this is the game changer. McRib is back. Are you serious? Oh my god. Oh my god. Is the McRib back in Canada? Where is this? McRib locator. Most recent sighting. October 27th, 2020 in New Mexico. In New Mexico. That means something. There's a McRib locator. McRib is back meme. Why is the McRib meme popular? Ask Reddit. Is it? Don't F with me. Is it back or isn't it back? If I find out that Alfie Solomons lied to me, I swear to Jesus Christ, I'm going to fucking the Midwest, and I'm gonna like kill him. I'm going to murder Alfie Sullivan. Is he the one who even said it? McRib is back. Here we go. After poor sales, it was removed from the menu in 1985. McRib was reintroduced in 1989, staying on the menu until 2005 in many countries. From 2006 until 2019, it has generally been made available for a short time each year in most markets where it is sold, typically during the fall season. Why fall? Although it's a permanent menu item at McDonald's restaurants in Germany and Luxembourg. Interesting. Limited availability. Speculation on limited availability of the McRib includes theories concerning the fluctuating price and unreliable supply of chains of bulk pork, manipulation of availability windows to turn the product into a better loss leader for the company, and the generation of renewed enthusiasm and higher sales as a result of scarcity. According to McDonald's, the sandwich's limited availability is due to their desire to provide a varied menu throughout the year, or so they want you to think. See also list of sandwiches? You gotta be kidding me. Is it back or not? I swear to God, I'll kill you. I swear to fucking God. Steve Quayle, 162,000 subscribers, 243,475 views from 2 videos. Wow. Does LA still have a show on KGRA? Some poetry. Six Cents is 6x6 Design says, who here can go to Antarctica with any amount of visa? Places like that, they love to make conspiracy central. Yeah, but no, the crazy thing is that Antarctica, there's tons of people in Antarctica. I mean, it's not as densely populated as, say, Canada, but there's absolutely coverage. I mean, there's planes that go over it. They ship supplies. There's a ton of scientists and science stations out there measuring things. It's only the theory that Antarctica has no one there. But remember, H.P. Lovecraft, Call of Cthulhu, Antarctica. I got busted on this last time. It was Frankenstein's monster. I don't know if he was in. Was it that he wasn't in the Antarctica? He was in the Arctic Circle. Where was he? But he was someplace similar. You know what I mean? It becomes symbolic of this like wasteland, of this unknown place, or untouched area. It's also in, don't forget, X-Files. People see the show The X-Files from 1995 to say 2000, its peak years. 20 years later, hashtag nostalgia loop, 2015 to 2020, people are saying Antarctica and Antarctica and Antarctica. Where was the black goo, black goo, black goo? So much of this bullshit is just people who watched the X-Files and enough people who forgot what they saw in the X-Files to hear people tell these stories. Go, for some reason, I keep on having these visions and I get these immediate visual images. It's like I know what this person is describing. It's like they must be telling the truth. No, they're telling something from your childhood. Quantum Gravity Wiki, the worst band name ever. They probably from Canada. Alfie Salmon says, I got to go buy some bagels. At 44, I recently discovered cream cheese and bagels. For most of my life, just butter on my bagel. 44 years passing on cream cheese. So much wasted time. Yeah, it's called a schmear. And I haven't had bagels are like pizza. It's food chemistry. So just because you going out to get bagels doesn't mean you're going to be able to obtain them where you live. God bless Schrodinger's cat. Mnemotechnic. It took me 3 seconds to figure out that it was Jane Says. Do 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 do. Totally, absolutely, absolutely suspect. I remember Google Video. That was before they bought YouTube. Oh my god, I do remember Google Video as well. Oh, God bless you. Staniel Grazov says CW Chanter stream better than any concert. God bless you. God bless you for such high praise. Honestly, it's beautiful. There you go. Oh my God, good looking honky says Chanter. Hi, Peter North here, old adult film star. We've lost a lot of famous people. We have, we have Peter North, and God bless you and your work and for keeping it up over all those years. The first and perhaps best of the firemen. Ladies and gentlemen, to Jizz. Thank you for showing up, Peter North. Though why you wouldn't just make your name Peter North, and certainly why you wouldn't have your avatar be a picture of Peter North, is beyond me. Just a suggestion. Not here to tell you what to do or how to live your life. We've been here for an hour and 23 minutes, and that is enough time for us. We never even got to Lou Reed. We have to. I can't not. So we waited to the end, and this is where it happens. So it's the 7th anniversary of Lou Reed's passing. I'm going to shoot through this. This is just life. 7th anniversary of Lou Reed's passing. I remember Lou Reed's passing like it was yesterday. Up until 2020, when I started looking at 2013 and researching and realizing that was the year of Lou Reed's death, that I think of Lou Reed's death as occurring in 2013. 2013 was 2 years before the CW Chanter channel on YouTube even started, but I swear to God, I think I thought I remembered it occurring after I had started my YouTube channel, but I guess I was wrong. Sometimes it's hard to remember the first couple of years. Like, I remember like my early life. Obviously, I remember my high school years and my college antics and knowing that I didn't have a YouTube channel then. But it's funny to think about my YouTube channel started in 2015. It's hard to think of like 2012, 2013, 2014 memories. It all becomes kind of entangled. It all becomes kind of entangled. It's time dilation. 20-year nostalgia loop from Lou Reed's death would take us to 1993. Well, he didn't release a record in 1993, but he released a record in 1992 called Magic and Loss. That was a meditation, started off as a meditation on magic from Latin America and South America and Mexico. Became over time entangled with tragedies that occurred recently at that time in his life, especially the death from cancer of a friend of his named Doc Pomus, as well as the death of someone only identified as Rita that was taken to believe to be Rotten Rita from Andy Warhol's factory. Here's the thing that's interesting. So 20 years before his death, he records an album called Magic and Lost. That was his biggest album, his biggest commercial success since the 1989 record or 88 record in New York, which in and of itself, but if you looked at 20 years before Magic and Loss, you get right around the time that he recorded his second solo record, which was his first hit record, Transformer. Here's the kind of the crazy thing about Magic and Lost. So this is we're gonna go. I'm gonna take you through a Wikipedia search again, and we're gonna close out on this. I'm just gonna go through, and we'll just kind of show you what I thought was interesting today. And and this is the 7th anniversary. It's not the 10th anniversary, but it's the 7th anniversary, and 7 is a good number too. Crazy mixed up stuff. Check this out. So this is Also, here's the crazy thing: if you see an interview with Lou Reed from 2003, and then you see an interview with him right before he died in 2013, it's like incredible, like what happened to him in 10 years. Transformers 1972. It's a 20-year nostalgia loop. 1972, he's transforming. Um, then Magic and Loss occurs in 1992. 1992 would become Reed's highest charting album in the UK albums chart, peaking at number 6. Here we go. Magic and Loss. This is a great album cover. Anyway, Magic and Loss is the 16th solo record by American musician Lou Reed, released in January 1992 by Sire Records. The concept album, it was Reed's highest charting album on the UK album chart, peaking at number 6. Magic and Loss was originally intended to primarily be about themes of magic and hearing stories about magicians in Mexico. However, when tragedy struck during the writing process, Reed expanded the album's focus to meet themes of loss and death as well. Inspired in part by the illnesses and eventual deaths of two close friends, Magic and Loss was written for songwriter Doc Pomus, who had given Reed his start in the music business some 25 years earlier, and a woman Reed identified as Rita, popularly assumed to be Rotten Rita, who, along with Reed, was a familiar figure at Andy Warhol's studio. Okay. Photographs of Pomus and a woman's face can be seen at the center of lyric booklet included with the CD release. Whatever. Here's the issue, though. Rotten Rita did not die in 1992 or thereabouts. She died. Kenneth C. Rapp died in February 26, 2010. Was an influential denizen of Andy Warhol's The Factory and was sometimes referred to as the Mayor. Although he worked by days in a fabric store, he spent many nights at the factory bringing his unique influences to encourage others to become artists. He was an opera aficionado and also a alleged amphetamine dealer and user, and he touched the lives of many members of Warhol's artist collective. He was particularly close to another member, Bridget Berlin. Lou Reed's third solo record after Transformer. The third solo record, first record after Transformer, was Berlin. I think it's actually just about Berlin. Okay. Rapp's alleged death in late 1991, together with that of songwriter Doc Pomus by cancer, inspired Lou Reed, another famous factory denizen, to compose his 1992 album Magic and Loss. Rapp, however, died February 26, 2010 in Irvington, New Jersey, where he lived in exile from the downtown drug scene since 1980. He had an opera show on local college radio and worked as a hot dog vendor at the Irvington bus station. Reed also makes mention of Rotten Rita in the song Halloween Parade on the 1989 album New York. Writing about his first year in New York City for the New York Times in 2000, Reed recalled returning to find his apartment trashed and the front door, which hung off its hinges, had a poem by Rita carved into it. So I have a magic journal that I keep. Started keeping it recently. There are many practices that make up my life, many activities, hobbies, works. The most primarily important one to me is Commonwealth chanting, though I don't talk about it often in public, and I certainly don't do a lot to promote it. I live it, and it is my religion and faith. I also have started referring to this work that we do with time travel and or time dilation, as I'm starting to realize it's more clearly defined as being a magical process and act in and of itself, and hence the keeping of a magical journal becomes crucial and important. The keeping of a magical journal creates a feedback loop. Any work, any magical practice is undertaken for a variety of reasons, and as the person becomes sophisticated and learns more and more about themselves, which is part and parcel of the process and what we are trying to do, their motivations, like the motivations of a primitive society, become more and more sophisticated over time as they gain more and more knowledge and insight, not only about the world around them, but crucially about they themselves. The magician, the witch, the practitioner may start with simple desires, simple mundane desires. Get this guy, get that gal, get this money, get that money, produce a red feather. But pretty soon, those simple end goals are replaced by more profound treasures. I can't share the contents of my magical journal with you. I realize that. But the results of the feedback loop, the revelations and insights, will occasionally peek out and into our correspondence and conversations here. Speaking of revelations of quantum physics and the space-time continuum and actual scientists at work, I can tell you the following. It is becoming more and more cuckoo bananas. The latest revelations of scientists and physicists and astrophysicists coming ever closer to resembling the words and invocations and descriptions of shamans and sorcerers. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Real world stuff. Because we don't have all the time in the world, I will speak simply to the 33 people watching now live and the 33 people that will watch on repeat. Lou Reed died on October 27th, 2013. He died on October 27th. Today is October 27th. Today is October 27th, 2020, the 7th anniversary of Lou Reed's death. Today is October 27th, the day that Lou Reed dies. Lou Reed died today. Lou Reed died 7 years ago. Lou Reed is not dead. You call me crazy, you just don't understand Einsteinian theories about space-time continuum and information loss, but I'll repeat it. I won't repeat it. Is Paul still dead? Yes, and he's still alive. Time moves in both directions. Time moves in all directions. Time doesn't move in any direction at all. Nicholas Krupis, hey C-Dub, where's Elvis? Elvis is right where he's always been. Yesterday, which of course is simultaneous to tomorrow. He's also on the bathroom wall. He's also getting his head shaved for the army. He's also dying on the toilet. He's also putting bullets into his daughter's playground set because it's there. He's eating a fried peanut butter and banana sandwich in the jungle room. He's also being born, and his twin brother is dead. His twin brother's alive. Mark Toronto says they had a Lou Reed special on the radio yesterday in Oz. How much were they selling it for? Alfie Salmon's new TV series, Better Call Saul, dealing the whole conspiracy story of having to present a fake Paul. It writes itself. It's called automatic writing, and it's a thing. Also, an algorithm did it. Anyway, I love you, I love you, I love you. 1, 2, 3. Three's the magic number. Man and woman have a little baby. 3, 3, 3 is the magic number. Check this out. 20 years before his death, approximately, Lou Reed creates an album about death called Magic and Loss, inspired by the passing of two individuals, one of whom wasn't dead. One of the individuals who was not dead did die in 2010. 3 years after they passed away, Lou Reed dies. What does it mean? Nothing. What does it mean? Everything. It means it's a set of factors that one can look at and contemplate. Just because you contemplate something and come away with the revelation that there's no revelation there to contemplate doesn't mean that you wasted your time. Work, work, work. I love you, I love you, I love you. If no one told you they loved you today, somebody just did. That somebody was CW Chanter. Make of that what you will. This is our marking of the 7th anniversary of Lou Reed's passing, where we spoke about Lou Reed's passing only but briefly at the end. Such is life, such is life, such is life. What are the purpose of these videos? What are we trying to do here? What is accomplished by spending time here? What is the meaning of these shows? How will people find this information? Should this information be searchable? Should the titles of my videos be relevant to the content therein? Should I make shorter, tighter, pithier videos to increase exposure and thereby get the information out to more people? If the information doesn't get out to more people but gets to the people that consistently come for the information, is that a better or worse option? I don't know. I just work here.